Thank you for watching. What you're looking at right here, this is the LOSI 8IGHT-t truggy. It's a four-wheel drive, gasoline powered truggy made by Horizon Hobby. Now, this is also all that I'm going to show you off the box. Boxes are boring. You don't want to see the box, you want to see the car. I would be as considerate as to put all the other info in the links in the description box in terms of you being able to read up about this car online. But unfortunately, the webpage has ceased to exist. I will see if I can find some other info, perhaps that I can drop down so you can at least read up on the car. But this car has been discontinued, so that's also why it disappeared from the Horizon Hobby website. Why is it discontinued? Well, to be honest, so far I have no idea. It's only been out for a couple of months. I think it were first up for sale around February, somewhere around there. And well, a couple of weeks ago they pulled the plug on them, so we saw this great deal coming up. It was actually a friend of mine who notified me about it. He had noticed that LOSI was doing a blowout sale, not just on this 8IGHT-t truggy, but also on the regular 8, the buggy, with the same gas-powered engine, the same gasoline engine, and also on the LOSI Mini. Now, all cars, I think, with great potential, all cars perhaps that are a tiny bit misunderstood, but I also think that that makes it intriguing. Not every successful car is intriguing, and not every unsuccessful car deserves the type of unattention that it is given. Does it make any sense? I'm not completely sure. What I really want to say with that is some cars are super interesting just because of their popularity. For example, the SE-Extend, the HPI Baja, all super cool cars. We've seen a ton of them, and we will, of course, in the future also see a ton of them. And some cars are just really surprising that they do not do well at all. For example, Axial, Exoterra, HPI Apache C1, the HPI Trophy truck, and for example also the Savage Octane. Savage Octane could have the exact same problem as this car. You know that when I bought my Savage Octane that I had a lot of problems breaking that engine in. I guess with this car the whole braking process will be a tiny bit finicky as well, and I'm not sure if perhaps in the race to release a gasoline powered 8-scale car, being first with that, maybe I don't know, maybe in terms of R&D a couple of steps were just skipped. And well, I know that in terms of the Octane that perhaps was the case, so there was a lot of figuring out to do for the end user, and I was one of them. I really liked going through the process, although it did frustrate me as well greatly at certain times. But it was after I got it all up and running, and after I got everything adjusted and all the first issues worked out, it's a really enjoyable car to drive. Now, this one, I know that a lot of people have been blowing up their engines and whatnot. Do keep in mind, it's 8 tanks before you can even take it out to the dirt, and then it's an additional 8 tanks of gas before they consider it fully broken in. So it's a lengthy process. It's most likely is not for everyone. And in addition to the gas-powered engine, you still have to muck around with batteries, not just for the car itself, also of course for the radio, but also for the starter box. I'll just quickly pull that one out right here. This is a starter box like you would find for a Nitro car as well. So it has this rubber wheel. Idea is you press the flywheel of the car on that rubber wheel. This thing is powered by a 4S battery. Or by nickel batteries, whatever you want. You press it down and it will spin up the engine, spool it up to the point where it will burst into life, and off you go. Now, it could be that people find that too much work. You have and the battery for the car to take care of, and you have your gas to take care of, and you have a battery for the starter box to take care of. It's not exactly not like a really simple plug and play system, but I think it's all the more intriguing. This car, why did I not go for the LST when it came out? The LST is the LOSI monster truck. I know that the LST has a huge following. I just felt that for me it was not the car that I wanted to have. I wanted to have a monster truck. I wanted to have something with a bigger displacement engine, and I ended up going for the HPI Savage Octane, which after all the initial frustration I do not regret. In fact, I like the Octane so much that I have two. Now, is the Octane a problem-free car? Absolutely not. I still still think that the carb that they put on that motor is really a carb that's fit for slightly bigger engines. So tuning that carb is an absolute nightmare. It's 1/32 of an increment that makes all the difference between the car not starting or the car purring like a kitten. I do think that this engine, because this one comes with a carb that is actually fit for this size engine, so I think in terms of tuning it and getting it to run properly, this engine will be a lot easier to work on than was the case with the Octane. This being a truggy, I don't really care that the engine revs up past the point where I consider it a reasonable amount of RPMs. The Octane revs up to about 10 or 12,000 RPMs, that's about it. This engine over here, this one revs up to around about 30,000 or even a bit over RPM. So this one, when it's tuned and once you have it completely up and running, this one actually sounds like a Nitro and also almost revs like a Nitro engine. Because it revs so high, it doesn't come with like the complicated gearbox that you would find in the HPI Octane. So it's a direct drive transfer from the motor through like a center diff to the front and the back diff. So that's a huge difference. Size-wise, this is almost a third of the Octane engine. So it is really small if you compare it to that to the engine in the Octane. Also, this comes to one of the biggest differences. In my Octane, I ended up running 1:20 in terms of two-stroke oil and gas. So quite fat mixture, to put it like that, because usually I would run 1:25 in all of my other larger scale cars. In addition, I chose to go for a really low octane fuel, so you don't want to go for the high stuff. You want to keep these engines running nice and cool and smooth and keep them well lubricated. Now with the LOSI, this engine actually runs 1:14. It comes with 2 bottles of a 2-stroke oil. LOSI claiming, of course, in all of their manuals and whatnot, that this is the only oil that you can use in this car, which is utter nonsense. You can use whatever the hell you want. Just make sure that you mix it up correctly and you should be good. And make sure that the octane level of the fuel, no pun intended there, that the octane level is as low as you can get it. So this actually comes in the box. You get some tools, you get some batteries, so you can work on your car a tiny bit. The batteries also go in this DX2E, which is a familiar looking radio. This is a radio that you get with most of the Horizon products. It's a really good radio, I must say. For it coming in an RTR package. I like the way it grips. I have really big hands, but I always manage to get a good grip on these radios. Steers nicely and there's no interference, whatnot. So it has some really good connectivity to the car, which I like. So in terms of glitching and whatnot, I know some people have had problems with Spectrum in the past. This is actually a really trustworthy radio. So no problems there, this is all good to go. The body, I think it looks really nice. And just want to go over some of the visual aspects, just because this is my first truggy. I've never owned a truggy before. So for me this is very new and I think it is really cool. The LOSI, the TLR, the 8, is a race inspired chassis. It's I think it was even like a world championship car or whatnot, and everything just looks really good. It's really nice and sleek with that slammed down cab section. In terms of realism, of course, it does absolutely nothing, but that's also not what this car is intended for. This car is intended to run really fast over a track. Now I'm not going to take it to the track or anything, I'm just going to bash it. Really cool looking body, a bit of an unexpected color scheme, I think, with the burgundy red and then the yellow, but I think it looks really cool. It fits nicely. If you are nitpicky like I am, you will see that it is a different body than the one you see on the box. The one you see on the box is a custom airbrushed body with clear windows and different headlights, but you know, what do you expect from ready to run? Still looks good. Now if I put the body to the side and just quickly take you over the chassis. I'm not going to go into too great detail. Just trust me when I say that this is really a steal. If you just consider all the parts that you get in this platform, and you consider the price that I paid for it, or that we paid for it, because I got one, Vasco from Aussie RC Playground got one, Jeremy and Jamera from RC Militia, they got one, and my buddy Reed from Urban RC LA, he also got one. We're all partnered with the Radio Control Network, so you will see a lot of collaborating going on when it comes to this car, and how we compare notes and how it actually drives, and maybe even if we run into any problems. If you look at this car, it is an impressive looking platform. It's an impressive looking chassis. You can see that everything is race inspired. All the hardware used is top notch. The A-arms, all the plastics used, also the diff housings, everything looks superb. The linkages all look perfect. Everything is very stout, I dare say almost oversized for what it needs to be, because this is not a heavy vehicle. Sway bars come pre-installed. There's a lot of different setups that you can do right out of the gate. So if you do want to fine tune it, if you are a racer, it's all possible with this car. There's a conventional shaped chassis. Like you see over here, aluminium, black anodized. I really like it. Looks mean, looks a bit murdered out. Shock towers are aluminium, also black anodized, along with the caps and the adjustment rings of the shocks. Also aluminium, also black anodized. Really cool looking, along with these shock bodies that are anodized in, well, it's almost like a gunmetal type of a color. You end up with a platform that looks super technical. Wheels and tires feel good. Of course, there's not a lot of detail going on in these, because it's all about going fast, no place for dirt to accumulate. Tires, a block profile that feel grippy. I will of course be testing a number of different tires on this car, made by Proline Racing, and see how it performs on some different thread patterns as well in a bashing environment, because again, I'm not too much of a track guy. The servos installed are made by Spectrum. One of them is for throttle and braking, and the other one is of course for steering. Now the throttle braking setup looks quite complicated, with something that's like a transfer arm over here. It looks like you can fine-tune everything to the point where you want to have it. I'm curious how these servos hold up. I haven't had too much luck with the Spectrum servos that were installed in my DBXL. I do consider that a completely different type of vehicle. So them installing this in a TLR branded chassis, or what I consider to be a TLR chassis, I have some higher hopes of these servos than I have had initially already with the servos in my DBXL. The receiver box over here with a LOSI tag on it. Over here you see a battery box, which is really undersized, so I will be most likely machining something on my X-Carve to house a slightly larger 2-cell LiPo that will sit over the top or whatnot, because the battery that is included in the package is, I believe, only 12 or 1300 milliamps, which isn't nearly enough to get a couple of tanks of fun out of this car. So I want to see if I can up that to at least 2000 milliamps. What you see over here is basically pretty similar to what you would find in the Savage Octane. This is an ignition box. The engine that you find in these cars, they're not big enough to actually have a flywheel with a magnet on them that then has the ignition coil and sends a spark to the spark plug. So the spark needs to be electronically controlled from the outside, and they do that with these tiny ignition boxes. This is also a huge power demander, so the battery is getting drained as quick as they get drained is most likely because this ignition box is eating up a whole lot of juice from your batteries. So this is something that you want to keep in mind. With the Octane it was no different. This engine almost looks like a Nitro engine, not just in size-wise, but also with the air filter, with the carb setup, but also some of the larger scale guys might think that there's a lot of familiar looking stuff over there. So you have the engine itself with the exhaust, and you have a tiny carb that is connected to the bottom of the case, with of course an air filter setup. The gas tank is super tiny. I'm not sure what kind of run times I'm going to get out of this, but I'm guessing around 10 minutes once everything is fully broken in. the detail work on the engine, I must say, looks really impressive. So they got some like drillings going on in those cooling ribs, giving it some nice detail. You can really see the work that went into that extra step of machining it, and I also think that in terms of cooling it will really help. Well, I'm not going to get into the technical nitty-gritty with all of the how the shocks are set up or how nice it feels, because I think you can already tell that it feels nice. This is a pure race car that I'm going to bash, and we're going to compare notes. Me with the other guys, we're going to see where it goes wrong, and I want to find out, why does a car like this get discontinued? Why don't we, as consumers, give it a fair shot, and why does it end up in a sale? Not that I'm complaining, because of course spending less money on a car like this, on a car with these type of parts, is a pretty cool thing. So anyway, there you have it, the LOSI 8T gas-powered truggy 4-wheel drive. You will see a lot about this car in the weeks to come. I'm really curious on how it holds up, and I'm really curious if it will give me as much of a headache as the Octane gave me when breaking it in, but I have high hopes, I must say. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video useful or entertaining or whatnot. If you have any questions, concerns or remarks, leave them in the comments box below. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see what the other guys had to say about taking theirs out of the box, go check out the links in the description box. There's one to Reed's channel on Urban RCLA, him taking the truggy out of the box and giving his initial thoughts. Vasco has done a really good job on showing some of the more technical aspects of the car, and as always, Jeremy and Jamera had some good fun taking theirs out of the box and giving it a first look. So go check out those videos, and make sure to subscribe to those guys if you haven't yet, because they're all cool people. And if you haven't subscribed to me, do that as well. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you around. Bye.